Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Um, Thank you for joining me, those who have. And it is Monday morning. Good morning, dignitary poodles. um, I wanted to talk about something very specific this morning because as the YouTubes evolve, I'm going to be discussing more about training and behavior modifications. So I thought the most important thing that I needed to talk about this morning was behavior markers. And when I do personal training, I don't always use behavior markers because I know that a lot of people find just basic training to be challenging enough. And if you have to think about marking a behavior and the whole idea behind behavior markers, it can be mind-boggling. So a lot of times I do not use it. I will discuss it in the beginning of a course. And a lot of times I'll give people an article that I've written about behavior markers to see if they are interested in using it, because it is a lot. A lot of times people find even, when to treat, how to hold the leash, all those things. It's just too much. So I wanted to talk about it this morning because it is an essential and very important part of training. And it just makes training so much easier. And so basically what behavior markers are is, I'm sure all of you have heard of clicker training. That's a tool to mark a behavior. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm stuffed up. I have horrible allergies right now. The good thing is that we have beautiful weather in Southern California and everything is blooming, but my eyes are pouring and my nose is running. So I'm doing my best here. So back to behavior markers. The clicker is the original behavior marker that was utilized by people who train dolphins and whales and things like that, because what it enabled them to do was to mark a behavior when they weren't close. And what they were doing was, as an example, they were trying to get a dolphin to jump super high through a hoop, or just super, super high to impress everyone. And they needed something to be able to say, yes, that's what I want. And so the clicker was formed, a whistle or anything like that that marks the behavior. And the important part that a lot of people miss, and I see people using clickers all the time incorrectly, to get their dog to calm, or they're using it before the behavior actually. And the clicker or whistle or word or anything that you're using for a behavior marker is only to be used when they are doing the behavior that you would like them to do. And the important part of that is that you have to link the behavior to a reward. So they have to know that when they hear that word or sound, that a reward, a food reward or a tug or a ball or anything is going to be coming. It doesn't have to be exactly at the same time as they're doing that behavior, because maybe you're training your dog to go far away from you and do it down. Well, it's hard to get a treat to them exactly when they're doing it. You could pitch it at them, but then they've already moved. So the behavior marker marks the behavior at the specific moment that they're doing the exact thing that you want them to do or expect them to do. And you can change it when you are breaking a behavior, a large behavior or more difficult behavior, down into baby steps. And so you're going to mark little baby step moments. And that's where it kind of gets tricky, because when you break a behavior down, let me see, like the down behavior, when your dog is going from a sit or a stand down into the lay down position, a lot of times dogs have a real tough time with the whole going down all the way. Some dogs get it right in one swoop and they're done. But some dogs who are less apt to give you a new behavior, need to have it broken down. So it would be marking a behavior when they're just leaning their head down, then when their shoulders start to drop, then when they go partially down into like a little triangle, and then you might mark the end result being all the way down. So when you start to mark a behavior in a baby step, you have to go mark that behavior when they're offering it. Say the head drop first. You're going to do that about 10 times until it's reliable, until the dog, when you pull the treat down, is reliably every time they understand that they need to drop their head. So the next step then is going to be waiting for them to actually drop their shoulders down, so that they're going further down, and you're no longer going to be marking just the head drop. So you have to work through that with the dog. Okay, that was good then, but now 10 minutes later, I am asking for you to drop your shoulders down. So the importance of linking a behavior marker to treats is the essential part in the beginning that a lot of people don't get. Your dog has to know that when my behavior marker word is yes, I would highly recommend it to be something that doesn't come up in conversation as much. The same with my release word is okay, but I say okay all day long. Even though when dogs are super smart and used to being trained, they can pick okay out as a release word versus just in general conversation. The same with their behavior marker, yes, or when you're just saying yes in general conversation. So what you have to do in the beginning is just kind of prime that word or sound. If you're going to use a clicker, and I do use clickers, I don't use them as much as I use my word yes, because it's something that I need to hold in my hand. And I really like to be hands-free, which is one of the reasons that I wear a pouch when I go for a dog walk, because I don't want to have anything in my hand other than a leash if we're out. Oh, you came in, you were outside. So what you have to do is basically say the word or click your thing or whatever you're going to be using and treat right away. So it would be, no, I didn't want him here because I didn't want to be saying his word over and over and over again. But I'm going to, let me pick another word here that he doesn't know. Okay, key. Key is a very good word to use as a behavior marker, and a lot of trainers use it. I wish I would have started with it because it's not something that comes up in conversation quite as much. So I'm going to use it now so that he doesn't think that I'm saying his behavior marker over and over again. So it would be key, treat, key, treat, key, treat, key, treat. And you just have to keep saying it until you see your dog get it. That moment, that light bulb moment when they go, wow, this word is great. So that when you're marking your behaviors, they know that no matter where they are, that word means that they're going to get a treat. So they could be halfway across your yard. You say key, whatever they're doing, and they know that they're going to get their reward. So that whatever they were doing when you said that is what's going to get them their treat. And it is a fascinating way to train. It's super fun because once you start using a behavior marker, no matter what it is, if I bring out my clicker, which Elsa was trained with a clicker and with the word yes. And yes, he was trained with a clicker at the beginning as well. I do use it sometimes. So when I bring it out, Rick, sit. Good job. Thank you. When I bring it out, they both get excited. Elsa's probably better at offering a new behavior because Riggs hasn't done as much training as Elsa has, just because I'm busier now that with him around. But when you use a behavior marker and the dog knows what a behavior marker is, it's really cool because you can mark behaviors and train a behavior without ever luring a behavior, without ever asking your dog to do something. So if I bring my clicker out, Elsa will know right away that we are doing some kind of new thing. She may go through her whole repertoire of everything that she knows that she can perform in a certain area. Okay, you have to get off me here. He's all wet from going on a big run with his dad this morning. So she will try everything that she knows, and you can see her waiting to hear that click, because that's what she's working for. If there's no click coming, because I'm not asking her to do anything that she already knows, and I'm going to teach something new, she will look for a new item in the room. And if I have even a piece of tape on the floor, she will know, okay, we're doing something with that piece of tape. So she'll go over and start pawing it, nosing it, and doing everything she can until I click. And then she looks at me and she's thinking. And a thinking dog is a smart dog. Not just doing things out of kind of like, okay, this is what I do, sit down. When they're thinking, what did I just do to get that click? That's when training is really fun. And that's when you can train your dog to do tons of different things. So behavior markers are so, so important. And I would love if anyone has any, this is going to go on replay. So if anyone has any questions about behavior markers, timing is everything with training. Dogs will always get basic training from the average Joe that doesn't even know what they're doing. They will get it because dogs are so highly intelligent. But when you can speed train and train with precision, it is so much fun, and it's so cool to see how intelligent our dogs actually are, and what they can get when, I mean, they boggle my mind all the time, and I'm a dog trainer and I know what they can do, but they still boggle my mind with the crazy degree of intelligence. And when you use a behavior marker, timing is so important that you have to learn when to use it. There are errors made a lot of times. If you're training a new behavior, you're going to use your behavior marker, and it's going to speed training along like you wouldn't even believe how fast it can go when you use a behavior marker. And then you slowly, as a dog has the behavior and it's a reliable, the complete finished behavior is reliable. Say you were working on a down and now your dog is totally going down for the behavior marker. You're going to start taking the behavior marker away and replace, say, key with good boy and a pet. The occasional treat, but once a dog has it, you don't want to have to use it anymore, because one of the most important things with a behavior marker is that it must always be followed by a reward. If you start using it, say I said key and I didn't reward, it's going to start losing its power of teaching a new behavior super fast. The dog isn't going to work as hard if you completely get rid of them. So what you want to do is slowly get rid of your behavior marker so that the dog continues to work, because dogs, even if you reward them every 10 times that they've done the behavior, or the fastest down, or the down in the hardest spot, like with lots of distractions going on, they will still work super hard because of that one time. And then as it just becomes part of life, you just down super fast, you get rid of it entirely and replace it with just rewarding words. Good boy, or that's great, super, super good job. My kind of go-to these days is good job. And if I am training, if I'm going to be using a treat, if I'm going to be using my behavior mark, it is always followed by a reward. It can be a low-level reward. It can be a high-level reward, but it really depends on what you're training and what kind of level of reward that you need. And we'll be talking about reward levels in later YouTubes. So I hope that helps to understand. It always marks a behavior. It follows as the dog is doing something, and the exact moment when they are doing what you want is when you mark it. It is not to lure a dog, it's not to get them to come. It is always just to mark the behavior that they are doing, to link what they are doing to the rewards. So they understand that action that they are taking right now is what you want them to do. So hopefully that explains behavior markers, because I love behavior markers. I use them all the time. I think they are super helpful with training fast, and they kind of tap into our dog's high level of intelligence where they can get it. It might seem tough at first, but they can totally get it. So have a great day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully you can make it back tomorrow, and we'll go on with training.